Sons of God, my brothers, I want to pose to you two stories to help us further process the invitation that I shared with you last week that God's inviting me into. And that is to ask the question, what's the story that I'm in? All right, so to add some resolution, some strength, and some undergirding to that, so that we can begin doing that on a more regular basis and find our true strength, I want to share with you two stories. The first one is an account of the disciples with Jesus from Matthew chapter 8. And what you see is Jesus is leading them into a situation where what's really in their heart is exposed. Their weakness is exposed. And it feels a little harsh to them. It's terrifying. To them, it's very revealing. But Jesus needs, you see in his wisdom, he's leading them to a place that they need to go so that they can see what they need desperately, and so God can give it to them. So here's the story. I'll just tell it to you. Jesus gets into the boat. The disciples follow him. They push off into the sea. Shortly after that, a huge tempest comes up, a storm, a hurricane. Water is pouring over the sides of the boat. It's filling, it's swamping the boat, and it's sinking. And the disciples are freaking out, and Jesus is laying in the bottom of the boat, asleep. And they wake him up, and they say to him, "Lord, save us, we're perishing." And so just picture it. Jesus' beautiful beard and his hair, whatever, his cloak, his robes, his tunic, all that. It's soaked, as well as all them. Maybe they're cold. And then this dramatic, probably darkly lit background with all the drama, he looks at them with those beautiful, all-seeing eyes of God himself. And he says to them the question that he brought them there so he could ask them. "Why are you afraid, O you of little faith?" And I will confess to you that that is the question that Jesus has been asking me. Why are you afraid? In his wisdom, he can see all of my concerns. And as I sit around campfires with men like-hearted, like-minded men like you, like I did last week at Fight Club, I am so comforted to know that I'm not alone. All men are feeling some level of pressure. All men can describe a storm that they're undergoing. This is a jacked up world that we're living in right now, which makes it so easy for us to ask questions. Well, it makes it so easy for us to come to a conclusion and tell ourselves a story that we need to be reoriented on. Like those guys in the boat. Did you lead me here to die? I mean, they sound just like the Israelites, right? Did you lead us out into the water to die? Do you even care? Is this just a normal man who was a good teacher, but doesn't really have the power over it? Is he God, right? It's like all these questions are coming up in the disciples, and I will confess to you, after all these years of being a son of God and a believer, I have been tested to the point in all these different ways that are new to me, that's exposing where my fears are and my lack of faith. And I can either see this as a curse, I can see it as a sign and evidence of my weakness and my disappointment to God, which I've wrestled with. I feel ashamed. My journal is filled with confessions to God that I feel ashamed. I'm 52 years old, and yet I feel like I'm a 6-year-old boy in terms of my faith. Like, what's wrong with me? Now, either I'm doing something wrong and God's not here, or God doesn't care, like the disciples were probably tempted to feel in the boat, or God's in it. So Jesus, in this story, asks them the question that they need to answer. They need to see it before they move into chapter 9 and 10 and 11 and 12, and before he hands them authority and they go and they change the world. Why are you afraid? Where is your faith? In other words, what's the story that you're telling yourself, Peter, Simon, John? What's the story? Do I care? Am I with you? Am I not with you? Am I aloof? Am I just am I weak? And he calms the storm, of course, which he has always done whenever I've gotten candid with him and I get open with him and I share with him and I pour out my heart to him. He always calms the storm. It's just so easy to forget it from time to time. So where are you? What's the storm that you are going through? As a son, if you could describe it, if you could go to your journal, I'm inviting you to do this. Write out, what's the story that I'm telling myself? What's the storm? Where is God? What does this reveal about me? Let Jesus ask you the question, why are you afraid? And then answer. And then let Jesus ask you the question, where's your faith? Write down what you've been putting your faith in. And then you can even ask Jesus the question, okay, Jesus, you know even better than I do. Why am I afraid? And then just write. Don't edit it, just write. You can always go back and judge it and look at it and say, Jesus, what I just wrote down on this piece of paper, is this true? Is this from you or not? And then ask yourself the question, where's my faith? Jesus, show me. What have I been putting my faith in? If you are like me, you've been putting your faith in your strength, in your intellect, in your preparation, your planning of whatever. Let him speak. And here's the second story, the Karate Kid. God keeps telling me, you are the Karate Kid. And the little bit of karate that you learned at the YMCA years ago is not sufficient for the match that's ahead. Not only do you need training, you need a master to father you and to set the stage for you to be victorious. And I'll tell you why it feels so true to me that the story that we're in as the Karate Kid is that all of this that I know and that I have known, I bless God for every father that's come along, for every boot camp that I've been to in any and every capacity. I praise God for all the preparation that has led me here. But what I know is now insufficient for what's ahead. And in his kindness, God is leading us to come to the end of our skill set. And he's saying, look, I'll not only train you, I will actually father you through all of this. And what I love about the movie The Karate Kid is that the kind-hearted Mr. Miyagi, who steps in as the father and gives Daniel a new name, Danielson, and becomes the father that he has always wanted, that little Okinawan guy is the one who goes to his persecutor, to his accuser, to the basically the coach and the father of all those evil kids, and he's the one that determines the day and the hour of the final showdown. And then he trains Daniel intimately, not only with the external skills, but here and here, to be able to handle that. And guys, sons, brothers, that's what I need, and that's what you need. That's what we're being invited into, to live in deep union with Jesus, so that no matter what comes, we're prepared, and so that we, in partnership with him, are learning how to return ourselves to joy, return ourselves to the truth, return ourselves to peace, to ask God the question, God, what's the story? And where am I in it? Where are we going? I bless you guys. I hope this was helpful to you as these revelations have been helpful to me. Let's keep going.